Marcus Devon Stafford, Mantra Devon Artman, aka Atlanta's own Mantra. Hi, how are you doing?
What's up, man? I'm good. How about you?
I'm good as well. My first question is just what type of day are you having?
It's early where I'm at, kinda. So I'm having a good day, good start to my day. Um, Glad to be doing this. I've been anticipating it, so yeah,
Mm.
it's a
Uh,
good day.
Good to hear. A mantra is a word, sound, or phrase repeated during meditation or prayer to aid concentration, calm the mind, and promote inner peace. Tell me, why did you choose that to be your stage name?
Uh, I'm completely honestly, when I was around your age, you're 16, right?
I'm 17 now, but I turned,
17.
yeah.
Okay, so okay. Um, when I was around 16 is when I came up with the name, and if I'm being completely honest, because it sounded cool. Um, but over time, I kind of like I knew what a mantra was like on the surface level, and then I kind of like learned what it meant in regards to me. Because it's not like it's necessarily a religious thing or anything like that. It's just more so, when people think mantra, they associate it with manifestation.
Hmm.
So when people hear my name and they understand the meaning behind mantra, I want them to think that my own bars are on like manifestation, like I say in my songs, I talk a lot about just like successes that I haven't even reached yet,
Hmm.
and that's experiencing the things that I'm going through and whatnot. I try to write it in a way that's relatable to that, and all my bars I feel like are just like manifestations for the type of life that I want, or somebody else reaching the type of success
Hmm.
that I strive for.
And in terms of success, like, what do you consider success? Like, where do you want to be, either as an artist or just in general as a person? What is success to you?
Success for me like includes kind of taking the path that the people who came before me that like inspired me to get into it, like forefathers and rap and whatnot. Taking that path, continuing to go down the same uh, avenues that they did and built for us, while also just pushing the actual art form and just being at the top of my craft. I think is a success story for anybody. Like, yeah, I think everybody wants to be like the best that they know they could be. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like I want to have that for myself, and I also want to just be regarded as one of those
Hmm.
in terms of rap and just in terms of overall artistry.
Hmm. And about a week ago, you released your new project, Art Part 2. Tell
Yes,
me,
sir.
how was it making the project?
It was a long process. Um, it's so crazy because like when I create in spurts. So I would say like a good 80% of that project was accomplished within about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, over a year ago.
Hmm.
And the rest of it was just filling in the blanks with intentionality. Making sure that it like this music was a cohesive body of work. And so like it was certain decisions that took me a lot of pondering, a lot of living. You know what I'm saying? I always say like the music isn't good if you can't tell that the person like lived with it. Um, so like I had to do a lot of like soul searching to figure out certain parts of the album that were gonna like, in my eyes, make or break the album. A lot of it was already done, but the rest of the time was just getting it to a point where it was a full cohesive story being told, in a full body of work. So it was fun making the album. It was not fun at certain parts making the album. It was a lot of long nights in the studio. But all in all, I mean, I know I wasn't gonna put the album out until it was something that I felt like I could be proud of, like 30, 40 years down the line, as like my first real project coming out, my first real statement of who I am as an artist. So I'm just glad that I was able to get it done
Mm-hmm.
and make something that not only I could be proud of, but everybody who helped me out could be proud of. That's another thing to answer, to like continue to answer your question. The support system I have around me, like my team, like of people, like that, from the engineers to like the people who like kind of creative directed it, the background singers. Like I've known these people for years. Like the two that engineered the project, I've known them since I was, you know, like 13 years old. Like we've been locked in for years, and we've grown together as artists, as engineers. We've just all been studying at our crafts, and I feel like, and I think everybody feels like this project is kind of like one of those milestones, like a culmination of all of our talents coming together at once.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm really happy about it. Really proud of it. Excited to continue pushing it forward, and getting it out to as many people.
Mm-hmm. And can you elaborate on what exactly did you figure out in those like early stages that were so influential to like later making the album? Those like week and a half that you said like a year ago.
Uh, okay, so I remember the album came out, and like the concept of the album is kind of talking about the period that I was in my life and my artistry. I was going through a real uh creative block, and I I'm sure you've heard of the book before. You might not have. It's a book called The Artist Way by Julian Cameron.
Mm-hmm. I've
That
heard about it.
I yeah. So like I had picked that book up, um and started using it to kind of like get in touch with my artistry and whatnot. And that's where the concept of Art Part Two came, because I actually have been using like kid pictures of myself for a while. And I always like I have a EP that I came out with in 2022 called Art Man EP. And I always knew that I wanted to do a follow up to it with the picture with me as a kid, like holding up the peace sign. So like when I started reading what Julian Cameron was saying about, like, you know, you starting out pretty much as an artist when you're a child, and then being kind of stripped of that art, that creativity, through different things, through like life, financial troubles, heartbreak, things like that. You got to basically get back in touch with your artist. So that's the concept of Art Part Two, kind of like the art coming, the art automatically having like a part two, literally. But it's also, of course, a part two to Art Man.
Mm-hmm.
So when all of that clicked, it was like my brain exploded. I wrote, I think, Still Riffing. Uh, I wrote a good 7, 8 tracks on the album, like to completion during that period of time. The title track, Mantra Morales, was actually the first one I did because, like I said, I was very blocked off creative, like creative wise. But I knew I wanted to make a song called Mantra Morales, 'cause people say I look like Miles Morales like all the time, and so I wanted to like run with the joke. Um, but I didn't know how I was gonna do it. So when it finally, like, I heard the beat, I started writing. That came, and then it was like the floodgates open, and I was just able to like start writing again. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, then after that, it kind of like reached the point where it kind of went down. But with all the training that I had, it wasn't like I was like, oh, like I got writer's block again, like it's over. Like I just was like, okay, I've been here before. I know how to deal with it. I know how to push forward and still get music out, even from a state of not feeling at your creative zenith. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
um, early on, it was just like raps on rap. Like my notebook was just getting filled like crazy. Like not even just with the raps, with just so much other stuff. Like one of the main things that the artist way talks about is journaling. So I was journaling every single day, and it came to the point where like I was like writing raps off the top of my head while journaling,
Hmm.
which I had never like tried to do before. So yeah, it was real beneficial.
Hmm. And in the album cover of the project, and also like on your profile pictures, you are in a frame. And I assume that it means something like you are a work of art or something similar. But how exactly did you come up with that imagery? And am I right with how I'm reading it?
Yeah, yeah. I really tore. I kind of like went back and forth with how I wanted to do it. I really wanted to represent like what I really wanted to do and what I could still possibly do. Like the idea was to kind of have like, are you a fan of? You're a fan of Isaiah Rashad?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
He has a video for the squad where like everybody's kind of like walking around, but they all have like numbers over their head, and the numbers basically indicate like, I guess like the money in their bank account, kind of.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like a a message of like everybody being connected. Kind of had a similar idea where for the cover I wanted it to be me in the frame, but like a bunch of other people walking around, and they all had their own frames
Hmm.
around them, basically saying that everybody's an artist. Like I'm an artist because at a certain point I was a child who picked up a crayon and drew whatever, a cat, a frog, just scribbles. You know what I'm saying? Um, and regardless of whether or not that art was going to make money, regardless of whether or not that art was going to be praised by people, like the idea is like we're put on the earth to create. So just by creating, that makes you a creator. You know what I'm saying? That makes you an artist. Like so, everybody, like me, you, anybody walking down the street, like no matter how corporate their job might be, no matter how you unperceiving of themselves as an artist they might be, everybody pretty much on this earth is an artist. So that was kind of, you know, and of course, like the frame being around you, like you're all your work of art, like you're a living manifestation of the art that you produce and the creativity that you have. Yeah. So that that was kind of like what we were able to achieve with the time frame, just like having the frame and whatnot, like me representing that. And yeah, that's that's where we came to with it. But you're pretty much on the money.
Hmm. And what is art for you? What do you consider art to be?
It's crazy because like for some reason I asked myself that question the other day, just because I've been like dealing with the concept of it so much with the release of the album. I feel like art is the ability to express what can't plainly be conveyed through words. So if I can't explain something through words, but I can paint you a picture to understand the way that I'm feeling, the emotions that might not have words for them, or a situation, like my interpretation of a situation that I might not be able to describe to you through words, or you could describe it through words because words are art. People paint pictures with their words, but there's so many different ways to convey an emotion, and I just think that art is it's kind of that magic, unspoken way that it's able to be produced um, by a creative. Um, like I think of Toni Morrison, like she's a novelist and she uses words, but the way that she uses them, she'll write a sentence that may be not grammatically correct, like or like grammatically traditional, like at all. But that's part of the way that she's like conveying to you like the emotion behind what she's saying, or the unspoken nuances.
Mm-hmm.
of the situation that she's talking about. Like there's so many different ways that you can go about it, and there's so many different art forms. But I think the thing that connects all of them together is that everybody who's doing art is trying to convey some type of emotion,
Mm-hmm.
some type of feeling that can't necessarily be just like plainly expressed. Like this is how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's art, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And to get back to the topic of the actual project, you said somewhere that this project is like your first real project. In what way would you say to someone who might just be discovering you or is not that familiar with you, this project is different from the project you dropped last year from the Artman EP? That was the first installment of this. In what way is it different?
Um, Truthfully, this is just the first time that I've made something I would say is uh, one cohesive and two reaches the length of what I would consider to be a album, quote unquote. Um, there's really no like big definition on like the difference between like an album, a mixtape, and even like an EP. But I would consider Artman EP to kind of be like the precursor. And then I dropped a couple of EPs within like last year, um, called Heaven Sent Mementos, and I kind of put them together. So I would consider that to be like a mixtape because it's not like it all came at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Like an amalgamation. Like it's a couple of EPs, which really were just singles that I decided to put together. Um, and then this one is like you're getting a whole package placed in front of you, 10 whole tracks. Um, and it's a whole story, it's a whole concept and narrative behind it. Um, so that's where I feel like people who are hearing me for the first time, like they might hear a song like the new Stigmata off of Having Some Mementos and be like, oh, he can rap. He's good at rapping. Um, they hear a song like Analogies and Realities and Magnum Opus, and they're like, oh, he's got like this is a full on concept. Like this is more than just quote unquote rapping. Like he's like this is a songwriter
Mm-hmm.
um, altogether. At least that's the way that in my mind I see it.
Mm-hmm. And over the past 2 or 3 years, you have put out a couple of behind the scenes videos of your music shoots on
Yeah.
YouTube. Tell me, do you plan to put out some more for this album cycle?
We was actually just up last night editing some stuff. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We were editing footage of the background singers, the ones who did like several tracks on the album. Amazing vocals, Charity and Ariana. We were just editing the session where we did all of those songs. We did it all in the course of one night, and it was amazing. Like the way to like they took like my ideas, like my simple melodies, and elevated them, added harmony to them, made different choices. Like it was pretty amazing. So we had like over 3 hours of footage. We were trying to get it down to like 30 minutes. So it took us like some hours to accomplish, but we did it. So I'm gonna continue to drop those um, as the time goes. I got footage of me doing songs with like just myself, um, and just other just stuff from the creative process that we recorded over time. That 100%, yeah, I do plan to put out.
Mm-hmm. And more specifically, when it comes to music videos, how do you
Yeah.
make them? Like, what goes behind one? Do you storyboard them? How do you pick which song you want to have a music video? All those kinds of things. How does the music video go from an idea to an actual thing?
most of the time, well, it starts with it starts with me texting Felipe Banks, who's my videographer. Um, it starts with me just texting him probably like in the middle of the night or something to be like, "Yo, what's the rest of your week look like? Um, I got an idea," and him probably like rolling his eyes or something. Because like every time that we do a video, not every time, but I get real like creative and out the way. He's a real creative person too. So like when we put our heads together and start doing stuff, like when we did the Earthling video, it was just like trying to, because it's not like we are like working with like the craziest setup and everything. So it's kind of just like making do with what we have and trying to make a whole experience out of it. But a lot of times it's running gun, like New Stigmata video. It was, you know, we just got the guys together and just press record. And I think the best part of having a videographer that like you kind of know and like have a relationship with is when it comes time to sit down in the editing bay. You know that you're not just gonna get like a, you know, like, hey, I'll call you when the first draft is done, and I'll send it to you, and you tell me what you like or don't like about it. Like we go over every second of the video together, um, and we're making decisions together. Like even Gio, like kind of like one of the creative directors, pretty much like my right hand man in this stuff. Like he's there, like helping make decisions, breaking ties, like he's the tiebreaker kind of on any decision that we're making.
Hmm.
So, I think that that's where the video kind of elevates because like the intentionality behind it, like every single portion really has like a meaning behind it. It has deliberation behind it.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Hmm. And I noticed in the Pet Summit behind the scenes, your friends and you are playing basketball. Tell me,
Mm.
have your friends and just overall people in your life been influential to the way that you make art? Not now specifically like music videos and just visuals, but in general.
Yeah, 100%. Like everybody that you've seen except for like the younger dude in, in that Pat Summit video, like one of them, Evan, Vamos, that's pro- like I said, producer engineer. Like we've been working since like 16 years old. The other one, that's Jordan Ali. Like I said, like since 13, we've been making music together. That's like my brother. And you know, we've just grown. Like it started from a love of music. Like all my relationships start with like a mutual love of music. Flip too. Like I remember we met through Twitter. We went to the same college, but we met originally through Twitter just because he would put an opinion about an album that I would see nobody else talking about on the timeline, and I would be like the only one that responds, and we have a whole back and forth conversation. So it really just comes from the love of music, and I think that because we love all the same stuff, like we have all the same favorite rappers, we have all the same favorite singers, and like of course there's differences, but like we put each other on. Like you never heard of this artist, like let me put you on, and he could trust me to do that, and vice versa because we know that our music taste is just so aligned. Um, and so like when we got to making music, it was like okay, we already know what we're looking for. Method Man's got a he said at one point, I can't remember if it was an interview or what, but he said like whenever he raps, his goal that he has in mind is to impress the other 8 members of Wu Tang Clan.
Hmm.
And it's similar for me. Like I make my music, of course, to impress myself first, see where I can take it. When I think that it's hard, then I know it's hard, kind of like. And then like when I show it to Jordan or I show it to Vamos, and they're like, "Oh, that's hard." Then I'm like, "All right, yeah, bet it's time to put this out." Like that's kind of how. So it's just good to have a network of people like that because you never have to second guess yourself because you know that you love it and the people that you made it for love it. So the rest of the world is kind of like icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm. And with you still being a relatively smaller artist, is there a certain way you are consciously trying to portray yourself, either on social media or just in general? Is there some way that you are trying to tackle presenting yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I would say in terms of representing myself, I want people to get like who I am, like genuinely. Really, the messed up part about it is who I am is not really a person that will post on social media a lot. So that's actually kind of been sort of the struggle, like actually like not putting myself out there because it's not a thing of me being shy. It's just when I'm out and about, I don't think, oh yeah, let me pull out my camera and record this for content. I'm like really in the moment. So if anything, portraying myself would just be like literally portraying myself more. That would be like the number one thing. Like actually like getting um the experiences that we have on camera and out to the world, just so they can see like the you know genuinely what we be doing on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, like that's why I love like the behind the scenes videos and stuff like that because it's just kind of a glimpse, you know,
Mm-hmm.
into how we create, how we joke around with each other. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm. You have so far amassed a very nice amount of followers and streams and similar stuff. I know you are pretty determined to put yourself out there. So tell me, what is your, I'd say, commercial goal? What do you want? Where do you want to go in terms of that? Because you talked to me about how you want to be one of the best, but where do you want to be in terms of just that popularity?
in terms of the popularity, I would say um before I mentioned success being opportunity meeting preparation, and I feel like that's all I can ask for. Um, I mean, I can continue to ask, but that's all I can necessarily expect is for me to be prepared for the opportunity that presents itself to me. And I feel like that just comes from me always working, continuing to write, continuing to just be on top of my product, um, and like of course, there's the logistical side of it, like making sure that like I always have a product to give out. I can always like when somebody comes around and they're looking for an artist to perform, like I always got my performance tracks ready. Like I'm ready to perform on the spot at any point in time. And I think that continuing to have that is just going to put me in a position to, you know, like receive opportunities and good opportunities. And I just want to continue to be ready for. I think that the talent already matches like the ability to, you know, be ready for those big opportunities, and it's just the preparation thing. But yeah, so I would say continue to be prepared for those opportunities. As the preparation gets better, as the resources get better. I mean, like I said, the Grammy stage says, "Hey, we got this performance for you." I'm ready. I'm prepared. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the success comes as a result of. So, only thing that I can ask for from you know from my standpoint is to continue to be prepared for all big opportunities because people sometimes will get them and they're not prepared for them, and that's where you see success stories turn into not so much success just they had it, but they weren't able to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I see myself in terms of my trajectory, just always being able to be prepared, not not letting the industry or like whatever um, BS may come with the game, because music's not a all the way clean game,
Mm-hmm.
but um, just making sure that like I always have a fan base that supports me. You know what I'm saying? No matter how big or small I may be, so that way, I'm never feeling like I'm needing to change myself or do anything, take opportunities that aren't so good,
Mm-hmm.
just to feel like I need some attention, to
Mm-hmm.
get some attention, some eyes on me. That's my that's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can really ask for.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of legacy, let's say legacy, you want to leave behind?
That's really that's a great question. So to give you a bit of backstory, um, my original goal before like I decided to pursue music fully was to go through and get my doctorate, and be a professor of hip hop studies.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, I was like, you know, college will be there by the time I'm 45. The rap career could be there by the time I'm 45. Like if I decided to pick up a mic, and like, if I decided to not rap today and pick up a mic in 20 years, I could still do it. There's no shelf life. We've seen that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no better time than the present, I feel like, for this. So my goal now is still to go and get my doctorate. And I don't know if you've seen Ninth Wonder. He just recently, I think, like got his like doctorate or something along those lines. Or I might have that wrong, but Ninth Wonder, he's been a professor of hip hop studies for some years at Duke University, and I think at one point North Carolina Central, which is like a big part of my family's like history. Like a lot of my family went to North Carolina Central, graduated, and so that's kind of like one of the goals that I have. Like once I become hip hop history, teach the hip hop history that I was a part of. That's where I feel like I would love to take it. Like once because I don't think I'll ever retire in the traditional sense from rapping, but at a certain point you pivot, and I think that that's where I pivot to,
Mm-hmm.
because I've always just loved the history, not only of hip hop but just like music in general, like American music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the just to continue to um, strive to educate the masses. Um, I could do that through my music, but of course, with a doctorate and a you know a classroom, you know, no better way to do it than that. But in due time.
Mm-hmm. And do you like where hip hop is at right now?
Uh, um, quick, quick question. It just popped in my mind. Have you listened to the Drake album yet?
I've listened to one of them. I've listened to one of them. I
Okay.
have to listen to the other two.
Which one, Iceman?
Yeah, I listened to the Iceman. Yeah, the longest one.
Okay. I haven't listened to it yet. Any of them. I actually just found out, funny enough, through your story that he dropped 3 albums. So
Yeah, that
I
was
woke up.
crazy. Yeah, I woke up too and I was like, "Whoa, that's a lot."
Yeah. But that's neither here nor. So yes, I do like where hip hop is because I feel like everybody can be a fan, but it also is a little bit um bad because everybody can be a fan. So it kind of leads to a lot of unnecessary discussions, a lot of discussions that are being had between different groups of people that aren't really fans of hip hop, that don't really like eat, sleep, and breathe it like people that you know, that I know, and it just the music itself, I think, is in a good place, and I think it'll always be in a good place. Like people are like folks are rapping, and I don't think they ever stop rapping, and I don't think that they're ever gonna stop like rapping like good. Um, the perception of hip hop, I think, is what people always ask when they ask, like, is hip hop on the decline? Is there a is like should there be a change within it? And think that that just comes from where the world is at, sort of. Hip hop sort of a commodity in some spaces, and so when we decide as you know, when the world decides that it's something that they want to look at and enjoy, then that's when we're in the good graces. And they decide that it's not, I think that that's when people start to look at the entire genre as a monolith, when it's not. It's actually, I think, probably one of the most diverse genres. So when you ask if hip hop is in a good place, I think it is. Is every sector of hip hop in a good place? Not necessarily, but you know, um, the parts don't define the whole. And the hip hop that's based in the roots, what it originally was, will always, I think, continue to strive, continue to be um, what's needed for itself. And I think that eventually the world will come back around to appreciating it for what it is. But for now, it's you can't you can't influence what somebody else thinks about you. You can only influence what you think about yourself. And I think that that goes for people, and that goes for the whole genre itself.
Hmm. And how did you start listening to rap? Were you raised in a house full of hip hop heads, or did you need to discover it on your own later in life?
So there were like phases. So, I mean, I of course, yes, listened to rap my whole life. My favorite album of all time is Reasonable Doubt, and like remember listening to it longer than I remember like any like it came out in 1996. I was born in 1999, so that album has been played pretty much since like I had ears, like you know, around me because that like my mom is like a huge Jay-Z fan, so stuff like that. Of course, I grew up in you know in Clayton County at the age of like 2, 3 when Ti was like at his zenith. So of course he's a big influence on me. But I would say like when I started getting into hip hop, like for myself, especially like when I started to do it myself, the first thing that like did it for me, and I actually just said this to somebody the other day, was the NBA 2K13 soundtrack. um, so I was 13, I think maybe 12, 13 years old at that time. And that was the first time that I had heard, it's not the first time I heard Nas, but it was the first time that I heard Nas to the point of me remembering lyrics by Nas. It was the first time that I really heard like multiple songs by Kanye, like that weren't on like the radio, that like influenced me to go and be like, let me go and listen to a Kanye album all the way through. It was the first time, yeah, so like around that time, like 12, 13 is when I started like being like, these songs are really good. Let me go do the knowledge behind them and like go, what album was this on? You know what I'm saying? Like and 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 going from there, like I'm trying to think of something else that was on there. Eric B and Rakim, I ain't no joke. That was my first time hearing that, and I was like, because I mean, I had known who Rakim was, but like I had never known of him as or anything. So like I'm playing 2K, and every day I ain't no joke. I used to let Mike smoke. Now it's living on the ground, make sure it's broke. Um, Now learning his songs inadvertently, and so it's like let me go back and do the knowledge. What's paid in full. Like let me go and listen to that all the way through it and see what that's like and stuff. So that was a big, and it was done by Jay-Z. Jay-Z's the executive producer of that soundtrack. So it was a big like that was a good move by him because it kind of put on a generation to um, hip hop that wasn't necessarily like at the forefront at the time. You know what I'm saying? Bringing the past into the new.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, from there, of course, that's around the time that I started rapping myself. So I was studying those people, um, studying those styles, and that just became the music that I gravitated towards, like lyrical rap. I don't like the word conscious too much, um, but just like kind of um, stuff that really takes skill, mastery of the English language. And another thing to mention, my mom's an English teacher, so
Mm.
that kind of goes hand in hand with my rap ability.
Mm-hmm. And how did you start like making music? Like that idea of becoming an artist, how did it start?
my my uncles um, always wanted to be rappers, so they always had a mic. They always had like a makeshift studio. Like we was living in College Park at one point, and they had it was like a shed in the back that they turned into like a studio. And then I remember they both ended up coming to live with my mom at one point. Um, and that's when I really got into like, okay, hey, can I record a song? Like, I want to record my first song. I was 16 at the time. So like he took a mic and like took the cord and like threw it over the ceiling fan. So it was like hanging from the ceiling fan, and like in the middle of the room. And I like recorded into my first mic. He started teaching me about like mixing and like what DAWs were and stuff like that. And from there, I kind of had the framework to when like uh it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to start like putting out actual projects, like, and I'm making actual songs. Because at 16, I kind of was just rapping about rapping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like eventually, I started to be like, okay, what subject matter? What am I gonna talk about? And that happened around the time I went to college. And I went to college with the childhood friend I told you about, Jordan Ali. We were roommates, and so like we would be up till like 5 in the morning, um, making music and like building a project. But we had nowhere to record it, so like we would there was like a place not far from where I live, that like a guy like had studio time out the back of his like computer store, um, for like $25 an hour. And so we did that for some of it, but we realized that when we would go in, we wouldn't have the right amount of energy because we would still be a little bit like, I guess, like timid,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to record. So with that 2 hours, we realized we can't really do too much. That's when I had the idea, um, actually from an artist that I met on Twitter, that I kind of asked her like, how do you make your music? And she said, I just have like a USB desk mic that I record with, and that was my first. Um, that was the first spark for me to get a Yeti, and we made hella music off that Yeti. I made Artman EP off it, and I mean the quality, of course, isn't what it is now, but it really allowed us to be able to sit in a room for hours on hours and be able to create um, music from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like was like just like built towards like our 10,000 hours of just like putting in work, um, and learning the process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's kind of the trajectory of how I actually got into like not just rapping, like putting verses on paper, but actually creating music and like getting it to the point where it's out to the world.
Mm-hmm. And on Art Part 2, the song, you say how you don't have anything left to prove. What do you mean by that?
That's actually like tongue in cheek. Like when I say that, I'm saying it's really kind of sarcastic because like everybody's got something to prove at any point. Like I talk about Jay-Z because well, I didn't bring him up for this, but like to like kind of like bring him one more time into the conversation. There's a lot of speculation on whether or not he's going to drop an album this year, and for him to be 60,
Not
like
yet, but I think middle
late,
50.
yeah, late 50s, late 50s, and for people to be like, like the conversation is always going to be there, like, oh, is this album going to deliver, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that just kind of goes to show you, like, you'll always have something to prove because music is evolving, art is always evolving. So, you know, there's never going to be a point where I feel like, oh, I've proved that I'm the best alive, or I've proved that I'm, uh, you know, that I've cemented my place in hip hop. Of course, you can't cement your place in hip hop, but there's always going to be the possibility for somebody to come, and that's kind of where what you want it to be. You want somebody to come and take over and be the next, person. Like LeBron should want Wemby to be doing what he's doing, be the possible best player of all
Mm-hmm.
time. And so it kind of is talking about that, like me who hasn't done anything yet and hasn't reached those heights. Like really, I'm speaking of a place that I was in. I was kind of like, I don't have anything to prove to anybody because I know that you know, I'm here, but it's like you haven't released anything yet. Like, the world hasn't been able to be a part of your creativity. You know what I'm saying? Like in that same song, I say, I ask myself, am I selfish for shelving these rhymes? You know what I'm saying? Like, because the answer is yes. Like, like it's selfish to not share your art with the world. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because like we do it for selfish reasons. Like, the reasons why somebody might not want to put out something that they worked on. The reasons are, oh, no one's gonna listen to it, or people are gonna think that it's like weird or cringe or whatever. Those are all selfish reasons. Those are all reasons, spurred by how you perceive yourself. You know what I'm saying? But there's like a parable about like a man, um, like that's at an ocean, like the shore of an ocean, and he's throwing starfish. It's like millions of starfish on the shore of the ocean. He's like throwing them back into the ocean one by one, trying to save them. And a man comes up to him and is like, "There's too many starfish. You'll never be able to help all of them." And he responds to him like, "If I can help one, then I've done a great thing."
Mm-hmm.
And I let that parable kind of carry me when I think about art. When I think about even like how my art is consumed and like the numbers and stuff like that. I'm like, if one person is affected by what I put out, then it justifies putting it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that line, the artist with nothing to prove, it's really just me kind of like poking fun at myself because it's like you're always gonna have something to prove. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm,
Um,
you often ask for feedback on Reddit and other social media. Tell me,
yeah.
why do you ask for such things? Not because it is bad to ask for outside opinion, but why do you ask in the first place?
Uh, Funny enough, I started posting on Reddit just because I felt like um that was where I was gonna get like the like most unbiased feedback. Um, like my my followers like on social media and stuff like that. Like like a lot of them are like mutuals that I have, like people that I've met and whatnot. So you know, or people that I've known for like years, like from school and stuff like that. So they're not necessarily going to like if somebody like your friend comes up and shows you a song and it's like hot garbage, you might be you might not tell them to their face or like have like the same reaction. You'll try to mask your reaction probably a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But like if an absolute stranger was to come up and they were just like, "Hey man, listen to this right now," and they stuff a speaker in your face and it's bad, I'm sure you seem like you might like you seem like a pretty nice guy. So like you might not be like, "Yo, get this speaker out my face, his ass." But there's a lot of people on Reddit that 100% they relish in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if I can go on Reddit, be like, "Hey, is this good?" to people who, quite honestly, a lot of people on Reddit, funny enough, I think that they kind of like to be the ones to tell somebody like, "Nah, this ain't it." Um, so like to be like the first like person up there, like, let me click on this. This is probably like not good, or like it's probably just another person trying to make it. They can't, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
then they hear a song like Left Handed Layup, and they're like, "Oh shit!" like, dang, like I kind of like that. I like the idea of that. I kind of that's why and I actually haven't posted to Reddit as much, just because I like to put visuals along with what I do. So once the visuals for Art Part Two start to come out, then I'll start putting stuff back on Reddit. But yeah, that's rare. That's where that really comes from. Just like wanting to hear from people who have no reason to tell me, "Oh, your music is good," and then also to give it to people who like are like far beyond my reaches. I've had people follow me and like leave me like super nice and like heartfelt comments from all over the US, like different places in the world. I mean, even for us to be on this conversation being from Bosnia, it's just dope. So that's another big reason, just because like I feel like Reddit brings people from all reaches of the globe together. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm, you were very recently featured on the Grits and X podcast, and having your talent recognized. How does it feel to be recognized from someone with such a large platform?
I liked uh it's a similar thing to when I post on Reddit. I like to talk a little bit of shit because it really kind of puts somebody in the mindset of like, "Who the guy think he is?" when they click on it. So like when I post on Reddit, I'll be like, I really think like, and it's not like I'm talking shit. Like it's something that I just don't believe at all. I believe every single thing that I say. Like uh I told Ice Cup and Beyonce, I was like I need like I put 3 songs in there, and I was like, you can kind of take your pick on which one y'all want. Like I know that all of them are like worthy of 5 cups. And so like when they see that, they're like, I think they even said, because I also said like whenever I go on for my like they have like a segment where like they have somebody come up and rap, and I was like, when I go on, uh I need y'all to I need Deontay to rap before me, like do like Big Ticket in Rap City. And there was like, man, every time somebody mentions going on and doing the rap segment, it always ends up being ass. So they was already expecting to be trash. Um, but I kind of like planned it like that. So when they heard it, of course, I think that Ice Cup gave because they played Mantra the Menace. And I think Ice Cub gave it a 4, and Deontay, and I think everybody else in the room was like, "That's a 5." And I was just, I was just happy about that because I was, you know, they're very, what's the word? Brutally honest. They're brutally honest. They'll tell you if it's ass and you need to pack it up and pursue a day job.
Mm-hmm.
They'll let you know. So um, that's another platform where it's like I'm glad to get good feedback because I know that it's earned. You know what I'm saying? Like I know like they aren't gonna just give out good feedback to anybody. So to get a 5, to get the reaction I got, which is dope. It was just a dope indicator of where things are at. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what keeps you motivated to continue making music?
Really the kind of ecosystem I've built for myself, like even like what the album is about, like Art Part Two. Um, a lot of it is like I said, manifestations to myself. Um, like the art came with a part two is literally like a mantra for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, what keeps me motivated is just knowing one that I could truly build something very sustainable and very successful just by continuing to believe in my art, believe in my music. Um, and then like another thing that keeps me motivated is I don't just do it for me. I do it for the people around me. Like I've been blessed enough to um Jordan Alley, his who also goes by Dola, like phenomenal rapper that who used to live across the street from me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that we went to the same school. Like it like out of everybody that I grew up in school with, because like everybody raps good. Or like everybody raps. That's what I meant to say. Everybody, like a lot of people from our school rap. A lot of people we went to college. A lot of people rapped. A lot of people made beats. I haven't come across anybody better than Jordan Ali, and for him to be like a person that before either of us even wanted to rap, literally moved in across the street from where I live. Like, and I'm not saying across the street like a big street or anything. Like, I'm saying like right across the street. Like we basically were next door neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
For that to happen, and then of course for um Van Motes, who is a phenomenal engineer. Like he's put in so much work to and not even just engineering, producing too. Like for him to live in the same neighborhood as the both of us, it's like it's kismet basically in my eyes. So like it's like a thing of I can't stop because like it's that's too powerful to ever let it go to waste, kind of like the idea of that, you know, like and then of course like we've met more people, Jazz the Planet, through college, like one of the best folks that we, and that's like just like one of our homeboys sister, you know what I'm saying, that we didn't even know he had a sister, and
Mm-hmm.
she starts rapping and she's like amazing. So just like I feel like God has just put amazing talents in my life, and like it just like we all kind of like operate in the ecosystem, and I feel like my purpose is to just help push that whole ecosystem forward, you know what I'm saying, by pushing myself forward. um
Mm-hmm.
so I can't never necessarily stop because I don't just do it for me, I do it for Mass Effect, I do it for all the homies.
Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to or just now ask you about Mass Effect. Who are you guys? Like, what kind of label is it? If it is a label, just stuff about that. What is Mass Effect? Not the name, but the thing.
Yeah, yeah, so it's four of us. It started off as a duo between um me and Jordan. Um and it was what we dropped. Our we had like a debut kind of like EP mixtape. It's on SoundCloud. It's trash. Don't look it up. And it kind of just like let us put out the word like, "Hey y'all, we rap like around campus." Um, and then we like immediately was like, okay, let's start working on the next thing. And over the course of working on that, we ran into or like we met like Jazz, like I said, and we met Lev, and we would just like work. Jordan's actually like he's got this talent where like he can bring out the rapper and like almost anybody. Like if somebody like has made music or they'll be like, oh yeah, I made music sometimes or whatever. Like when they get in the studio with Jordan, like eventually they'll end up like wanting to do it like full time. And so the both of them like kind of just grew in terms of like their interest in it. And it just became a natural thing of like Mass Effect is really the four of us, you know. So we actually had a show last year for my album, just to let you know how long it's been in production. It was like kind of supposed to be a release party, but it was Juneteenth of last year. So obviously it took another 11 months to actually finish the album. Like I told you, I was real intentional about like it's not coming out until it's ready.
Hmm.
So uh, all of them perform like we all performed that night, and it kind of just was it was an indication like that was like our first time all coming together, sort of like as Mass Effect. Um, like we the idea behind Mass Effect, just to give a little bit about like the name, is taking what it's about communication essentially. Mass Effect is sort of course, affecting the masses, but how do you affect the masses? Like you spread things that you know are lacking. Like
Hmm.
I feel like my mission is to spread creativity. You know what I'm saying? Dolai, he talks about it in his music, is to spread love. You know what I'm saying? Um, Jazz, a big thing with her, she's very actually like, and you probably don't hear it on the surface with her music, but she's very religious. She's very in tune with God, and so like, and like just like her spirit, like she's very spiritual, but she's also very religious at the same time. So she spread that through her music, and it's like these are different things that we're really just trying to like continue to spread throughout our own community and eventually the world. Like the masses really doesn't have a defined term because the masses could mean the whole world. The masses could just mean you know 100 people. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like we're trying to affect the masses with our music and with our artistry.
Hmm. I want to ask you about your spirituality. Are you spiritual? If you are, in what way are you spiritual? How does it affect your writing process and similar things?
Um, with my art actually in my writing, yes, I'm pretty spiritual. Like I feel like my creativity comes from uh my like the creator, and I feel like everybody has their own. I like the term creator because it doesn't constrict to one religion. Like me personally, I'm a Christian. Some people believe, some people are agnostic and whatever. Like some people believe in multiple multiple gods, but the one thing we can all agree with is that we were created. Like we were put on this. Like we exist.
Hmm.
You know. So the reason for that, whether you think it's the universe, you think it's God, whatever, I think that that's where that creativity comes from. I think that it's like when you manifest, when you when you say out loud what it is that you want, like, if that law of attraction, it's like basically ordering the chaos towards yourself, because like I think that the whole world is just like it's it's chaotic, and not even in the bad sense of the word chaotic. It just, you know, it's atoms clashing like at every moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all different stuff. Um, it's just a result of there being such an infinite universe and so many people on just one planet. Um, and so like, how do you control your own destiny? How do you influence yourself to do something, or how do you influence things to happen to you, good things to happen to you instead of bad things? You you know, pray for them, you manifest them, you write about them. You know what I'm saying? You make it plain, and so um, that's a big part of how I write my music. I'm pretty intentional about um, that. That's how I even get the lyrics to write. Um, a lot of it comes from writing. A lot of it comes from reading. I think that reading is kind of almost like it's like open, like it's like a beacon. You know what I'm saying? That like attracts thoughts to you by, you know putting them out, sort of like you 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 read, and it kind of like it brings ideas that might not even be within the book that you're reading to you, and then, you know what I'm saying, you're able to take those within your mind and turn them into completely different. That like I some people read and they're inspired to paint, and they create a painting off of the feeling that they got from a book that they read. Me, whenever I'm reading, I can't put my pen down. It's like it's like impossible. Like I just come up with so many different lines. And it's not even like the lines are about the book that I just read. They just come as a result of my brain kind of just being like open, sort of. So I love to um I love to just uh exist in that space. I try to I try to make sure that I'm pretty consistently reading. Um, I actually, funny enough, I work at a library, so, you know, and you would think that that means that I have time to read books all day, every day. That's not the case. So I try to read as much as I can at the library.
Hmm.
It's not always the best environment for reading, but yeah.
Hmm. And on your song, The Shadows, you are thanking some Cynthia. Tell me, who is that? Why are you thanking her? And just that, like, who is Cynthia?
My Aunt Cynthia is uh, my grandmother's sister, and I really just think like, so like, to talk about that just talks about like kind of like my trajectory. Like I came here to Atlanta, to College Park specifically, um when I was 2.5. And when we first came down here, it's not like we were homeless or anything, or like whatever. It just like my mom decided to move from North Carolina to Atlanta, and we like lived with her for a while, because she was like, "Don't go out and get your own apartment just to start out, um, because you might not like it. So just stay with us." So my aunt sent my uncle Mark. Um, they they had took us in, and I think that like just like the dynamic of family, like the concept of a matriarch and all of that. Like I got to see that with that sector of my family. Um, my aunt Cynthia was just always like, she treated me like I was pretty much like her kid, like, or her grandkid. You know what I'm saying? Like she always uh, was down to do whatever I wanted to do. If I wanted to watch, I used to love two movies I used to love. It was Power Rangers. I can't remember which Power Rangers movie it was. Um, and then Space Jam. Like I love those two movies like so much, and I like wanted to watch them like every single day when I was like 3, 4 years old. And she would always be like, "Okay, yeah, we could put on that." I know me personally, if I had a little nephew that wanted to watch, I don't know what movie, what's it called, K-pop Demon Hunters. They
Mm,
wanted to
yeah.
watch that every single day. I'd be like, all right, maybe we can watch it every Wednesday, maybe. Um, but like she just really like let me kind of exist and let me be a kid, like, um, and I just used to love that. Like anytime I would go over to her house, um, I would just it would just be like I was in like a different world almost. Like and then of course her kids, she has two kids who are like my big cousins. One of those big cousins is the big cousin that I talk about on Still Riffing. Because he is like kind of like a big reason just for me. Like he was just somebody I looked up to, like when I was like a little kid. Like he was just like the cool older cousin. He played basketball. He had a girlfriend. He had a car. Like I wanted to just be like him.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so like that whole sector of the family, I just loved them. I really did. So like I say in the song, I see shades of the person I always was in the spaces that you built for me, or something along to that effect. And I that just really that sums it up. Like I feel like they just taught me a lot about like myself. Like I feel like a lot of my personality, a lot of like like even when it comes to like just like sitting around like at the family table and whatnot, like they did that. Like anytime I would go over there, we would go, you know, sit and do that. Um, my uncle used to love to eat like all different types of like wilds. Like he used to be like, all right, I'm gonna go out back and I'm gonna shoot me a squirrel. And we gonna have some squirrel night. And
Really?
yeah, because like they like it's like the woods, you know what I'm saying? So, like he would bring home like jellyfish and be like, try this. I'm like, "This jellyfish, like a jellyfish." And like that kind of made it to where like now like I don't I'm not like a super picky person at all. Like if somebody's like try this, I'll try it most of the time. Um, like I'm not like the type of person that's gonna be like, ugh. And that comes from my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I Cynthia, that she just was like a big influence on me. So when it came to do that, I actually have songs written about my grandma, and I was like, I feel like I should have something dedicated to my aunt Cynthia because she was like, another big influence on me. The women in my life are big influences because there's a lot of them in my family. There's not too many. There's men, of course, but like in terms of like older men, um, my uncle Mark actually is like probably like one of the only ones. My grandfather passed before I was born, and so yeah, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long-winded answer, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's been an amazing interview. So I want to leave you to plug anything you want to plug. What are you working on? Where can people find you? All those kinds of things.
Uh, Folks can find me pretty much anywhere on social media at M2 Mantra. So letter M, number two, MANTRA. In terms of what I'm working on, oh, the Art Part Two um, experience, like the full on experience, is available on Even. If you want to, one support, to get access to like all the different like stuff like we were talking about, like like behind the scenes footage and stuff like that, like all of that, like I'm gonna be posting it to Even first. So If you want to listen to that album and you just want like the full experience of it, go on even. It's $10. And you get like so much more than just the music itself if you were to just stream it. So yeah, Art Part Two in stores. Um, go stream Mantra. Go stream Mass Effect. Yeah.